When I was learning how to crochet, I was lucky enough because my amazing nan taught me, and it meant that I had someone physically there in person, which I think makes it a lot easier to learn a new skill. But not everyone is fortunate enough to have that, and I just think that it's important to have tutorials out there that are easy to understand and just shows you guys how to do certain things with crochet that's not completely beginner friendly, but that's also not expert level. So be prepared, because there's going to be a lot of videos coming on this channel that's just going to help you guys build up your confidence as crocheters. I'm Jessie, I'm a crocheter as well as a pattern designer, and I love to provide you guys with free tutorials here on YouTube. So welcome if you are new, and welcome back if you've already seen one of my videos, and let's get into today's tutorial. For today's video, we're going to be making a granny square like this. It's going to have a total of 3 rounds and then 3 different colours. So we're going to be starting using this first colour, a tealy blue, and we're going to do our slip knot to begin. I'm going to grab my crochet hook. Today I'm using a 5.5mm, just because I feel like with standard acrylic it's quite nice to work with, especially if you're still getting the grips of crochet and you're just practicing. I always think using a slightly bigger crochet hook is just really useful. So we've got this like this, guys. We're going to do 4 chains like that. We're then going to go into that first chain space and do a slip stitch. So you go straight in, and then you're going to loop over and pull through both, and you just leave yourself a little ring. I do this instead of magic circles because I've been crocheting for a really long time and I don't like magic circles. I find these a lot easier, especially if you're making a granny square. So we're going to do 2 chains. This is instead of doing our first double crochet, because it's just giving us our height that we need for this round. And whenever you're doing a granny square, you'll see you've got little clusters here. They're always clusters of 3. So because this counts as the first double crochet, we're going to do 2 more double crochet going into that center that we've created. So we've got the 2 chains, which counts as 1. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 1 chain just to keep those clusters separated. Another 3 double crochet, 1, and then 2, and then the third one. This is how it is looking. So you see we've got a bit of a gap there. We're going to do another chain and then 3 more double crochet. And if you've seen my traditional granny square beginners friendly tutorial, you will see we always go into groups of 3 for granny squares. That is the third one done. Chain 1, and then this is our 4th and final cluster of 3 for our first round. Number 2, and then number 3. So we've got 1 cluster, 2 cluster, 3 clusters, 4 clusters. We're then going to chain 1, and you're going to go into that chain 2 space that you did right at the start and do a slip stitch. And what we're going to do then, guys, is we're going to chain 1. We're going to get our scissors and we're going to cut the yarn. Pull it all through that chain you started like this, and we're doing this just to set up for using our second colour. So this is how it should look like at the end of round number 1. So this is where the tutorial differs slightly from just your standard granny square, because as you see, squares like this are not all the same colour, so we need to show how to actually successfully change colours, and I'm just showing the method that I do. So I'm using this green here next, so I've got this as a fresh strand. So the first thing that I do is, you'll see the corner here is typically where people who are using the same colour would work into, just because it's closest to the yarn you're using. But I find that when you're doing a new colour and you're attaching it, try and do a different corner. So it doesn't really matter which one specifically, but just change things up a bit, because as you're doing a chain 2 to start it off with, you don't want to have the chain 2 space in the same place every single time, because it can be a little bit more noticeable in that case. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the hook into one of the spaces like this. And then what I do is I hold down the tail of the yarn as I pull the new colour through. So you see I'm holding it in place just so it doesn't come all the way through. I do a little chain like that. That's fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1, 2 chains, and then I'm just going to pull the tail a little bit just so it goes down. But that is essentially the first chain 2 that you're going to do for this new round. So we're going to do 2 double crochets, and when I'm doing this, I'm kind of double crocheting and I'm crocheting the loose end into the stitch at the same time, just to make sure that it helps keep it in place. So we've got the double chain here, which is going to be the first double crochet. We've got the second double crochet, we've got the third one. you'll see I have crocheted that loose end into place, so it's going to be secure now. And what we're going to do is we're going to work into the next chain space here to create a corner. So we're doing 3 double crochet. That's number 1. This is number 2, and then that's number 3. As we're changing direction, we're going to do 1 chain and then another 3 double crochet in the same space, because doing this is what creates the corner for the granny squares. Because as I said in the original video, my guide to how to do a granny square for beginners, 3 of the double crochet just goes along. What changes the direction is doing a chain and then a further 3. So we've done that corner. We're going to go into this next space here. So it's going to be 3 double crochet to start off. You guys will see it is a little bit of repetition. It's always going to be the same case. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're then going to chain 1, changing direction. So 3 more double crochets. 3, like that. You'll see it's definitely looking a lot squarer now. So what we're going to do, I'm going to first of all pull myself some more yarn and try not to tangle it. Okay, so we've got it like this. We are going to go into our next corner, this one here, and it's going to be so much easier to see this just because of that chain space that they have. So 3 double crochet like this. We want to change the direction to go up here, so we're going to chain 1 and then do a further 3 double crochet. There we are. So the last thing we need to do is we're going to go back into this corner and we're just going to finish the other half of the corner. The reason we do that is so it just finishes at the same space. And if you do continue and just start up in the same place, that's what you do for traditional 1 colour granny squares. But to be honest, I like doing it like this anyway, because I think it has a really clean finish, even if you're just doing 1 colour for 1 round, and it doesn't really necessarily matter where you start and where you finish, but it's just good to keep this as practice. So we'll do 1, 2, 3 double crochets, because as we'd already done the 3 here, we needed to do 3. We're going to have a chain and then join up with 3. So 1 chain and then slip stitch into that 2 chain that you did at the start, like so. You're going to do a chain, and then what you're going to do is grab the scissors, because we're done with this colour. You'll pull it through that chain you've just done and pull to tighten. And that is how it looks after row number 2 is completely done. This project is amazing because you can do so many things with these squares. You can join them together, you can make scarves, you can make blankets, jumpers. Honestly, the possibilities are endless, and it's really amazing because these are relatively beginner friendly. You just need a little bit of practice and then you can get so many colours involved in really fun projects. Now that we're done with the tutorial, fingers crossed you have a square looking something like this. If you didn't manage it first try, don't worry guys, because practice makes perfect, and you have a lot of learning and a lot of growth to do in your crochet journey. And don't you worry, because I'm going to be continuing to provide tutorials that are somewhat beginner friendly and just for the people who are beyond the basics but are still finding certain projects very daunting. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please do consider, because we are on the road to 3K, which is very, very exciting for me. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.